What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction, and in this one we have why we decided to give up on Australia. Why would you give up on the land down under? On the lucky country. Country full of so many chill and amazing people. We're going to find out. Before we do, however, if you happen to enjoy the video, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button, give the video a like, and let's dive right in.
I really want to preface this video by saying that I love Australia. I really genuinely do. So much so that I gave 8.5 years of my life to the Australian Navy in protecting it.
Dang!
But I honestly don't know how any Australian is making it work right now in the country. We left the country because we couldn't afford to live in Australia anymore. And it breaks my heart to say that because it's almost embarrassing in a way that we couldn't hack it in Australia and we have to live in places like Malaysia to live the quality of life that we expected to have when we had kids. It's embarrassing in a way to say that. But Australia was slowly breaking us, not only financially, but just as a family. It was slowly pulling us apart. And that's what I want to talk about today, is a little bit about why we decided to leave and maybe give you a little clarity to why we travel full-time as a family.
Dang, that is tough, and I feel like there's people, so much people in these situations. I don't know about Australia, but I know the U.S. for sure, where it just feels like you can't get ahead, like no matter how hard you work, and then especially when you throw kids into the mix and more expenses upon more expenses, and it's like, how do you get ahead? How? And when it seems like things are just getting more and more expensive, that he's someone who served for the Australian Navy for 8.5, 9 years, and for him to come out and then have a kid and not be able to live, I guess, I don't know what quality of life he expected or wanted, but for him to not be able to do that, and I know it definitely has to hurt to have a feeling that you can't hack it, like in your country, that you can't hack it and you have to leave. But it sounds like he was able to put his pride to the side and do what's best for him and his family to get the quality of life that those guys want to live. And I think that's truly incredible. But let's hear more.
So 2 years ago, we made the decision to pack all of our stuff up, sell everything that we didn't need, pack all of our stuff up into two suitcases and hit the road with the idea of maybe returning in a few years' time. Okay. It's been 2 years now and we have no intention of going back. And the reason for that is that we speak to my sister-in-law, my brother-in-laws, our family back home, and friends, and how they tell us how crazy the cost of living has gotten in Australia. And that is part of the reason we left. It wasn't the only reason, it was a big part of it.
Yeah.
We were by no means poor. Between my wife and I, we were earning about $110,000 a year. Oh. We had a business that we were growing, and we were making ends meet, but just barely.
Really?
It really felt like, even earning six figures, that we weren't getting ahead. We were just existing in Australia. We would.
How? 6 figures? Oh my God. I know here, I think I'd be comfortable with 6 figures. I don't know how much taxes they take out for 6 figures. But I assume I'd be pretty comfortable here on 6 figures. I think that's definitely a respectable salary. A salary that you can make it on. Again, I don't know how it is in Australia. I don't know where they lived in Australia. I have seen rental prices in Australia as well as housing prices, and it definitely ain't cheap. It ain't cheap at all. I guess it'd probably be like the equivalent. Certain places are equivalent to living like in California, here in America, one of the most expensive states, or living in New York, or but I'm sure there has to be small towns that are more affordable. But again, I don't know their situation. But for them to be making $110K but still not getting ahead and still barely scraping by, it makes sense of why you'd want to take off. It makes sense.
Getting ahead. We were just existing in Australia. We would pay our rent, which was $700 a week. We'd pay our food bill,
crazy to me.
We'd pay our electricity, we'd pay our water, our internet, and all our bills, and there'd pretty much be nothing left.
That's insane.
And I can understand if we were only earning $30,000 or $40,000 a year and we felt like that. And I have a lot of respect for anyone that can make the ends meet if they're on the pension, because I just don't know how people are doing that in Australia at the moment.
Yeah.
And I could understand if we weren't earning good money, but we were earning good money, and it felt like we were going backwards. I would get up at 6 a.m, and I'd go to work, and I'd come home, be home around 5:30, 6 o'clock, spend a solid hour with my children. They would go to bed. And that was our grind. That was our 9 to 5 grind. It literally felt like Groundhog Day every single day. Go to work,
I hate that.
come home, spend an hour with the children, put them to bed, have dinner, sit on the couch for an hour, and then go to bed, and then do it all again. We were slowly dying inside, because not only did I feel guilty about not spending enough time with the kids, I could feel them slowly detaching from me. Now, my wife would spend a lot more time with the children back when we were in Australia. She would drop them off at school. She would pick them up, spend a few hours. But I felt so guilty that I was working so hard to support them and support my family, for them to only feel like I wasn't there for them.
Yeah.
Missing out on all the stuff that I expected to be able to do. Missing out on like being able to play catch in the afternoon, because by the time I got home it was dark. Just things like that. And
I feel like as a parent that truly has to be heartbreaking, because I feel like your kid would be everything that your world evolved around. Like your entire world would revolve around them. And I understand he had to be gone. Like, you have to pay bills. You have to put food on the table. You have to put clothes on the back. You have to make sure these kids have the resources to grow. But in doing so, he had to, in order to pay for that, he had to give up his time. And that's painful, having to give up his time with his kids where he only gets to see him like 1 hour a day. That just sucks. That absolutely sucks, because you have a kid, you want to spend as much time with them as you possibly can. They're your child. They're everything to you. So I can understand him starting to feel like the kids, him starting to feel like the kids are detaching, because he just isn't getting the time that he wants with them.
My oldest child has always been pretty close to me, and he's 9 now, but my 7-year-old, who was 5 at the time, I could see him physically detaching from me. I wasn't spending enough time with him as a dad, and because of that, I'd ask him for a hug, and he'd be very hesitant to hug me, and that killed me. That killed me inside, because I knew that the reason that was happening is because I wasn't spending enough time with him. And I remember coming home one day in tears to my wife going, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this 9 to 5 grind without any chance of reward in the future. We didn't own a home. We had cars and a boat and stuff, but we couldn't afford to buy a home. The housing market was moving away from us. We couldn't save enough to get a deposit. And I just kept saying to my wife, like, why are we doing this? Why are we here? Why are we paying $6 for a carton of eggs? Why are we paying $5 for a loaf of bread? Why are we paying $6 for milk? Why are we paying all this when we have no chance of living the Australian dream? Why are we doing it? All that's happening is I'm spending no time with my children. My children are growing distant from me, and I sit there at my job going, why are we doing this? Like, why? Why are we just going through the meat grinder of the Australian cost of living crisis to achieve nothing? That's the way I felt about it. Now, that could be completely wrong and off, but that's honestly what it felt like. I felt like we were just being churned through a meat grinder of the middle class. But we also weren't going broke, admittedly, but we weren't getting ahead. And I just felt like there was no end in sight to that. I felt like I was going to wake up one day and be 50 and just be ragged, old and broken with nothing. And I just don't know how any Australian is doing it right now, right? That's how I felt. So we made the decision 2 years ago to go, we are just going to check out of this. We are sick of the meat grind and 9 to 5 that we're grinding through right now. And we're going to go and travel the world, because at least then
that's so awesome.
We'll get something tangible for that money. Lower our cost of living by living in countries where it's cheaper to live, and use the money that we have left over, save a portion of it, and get some experiences with our children and build some core memories with our children.
I think that's a truly incredible plan. I think traveling is so cool. I really want to be able to, but I feel like I'm stuck in that meat grinder he was talking about here in the U.S. where you just work. You're not getting ahead. You're not going broke, but you're not getting ahead, and you just work and you work and you work, and you're just trading your time for money. Um, and that's just a sucky feeling. I completely understand everywhere he's coming from. And now about to have my first child. I haven't even had my child yet. Once he's here, I want to be able to spend as much time as I possibly can with him. Like I want to be able to play with him, do all kinds of things with him, and so I don't want to be stuck in that meat grinder. I want to be able to experience life with him. So I completely understand where he's coming from. And him getting to travel the world with his children and give them so much memory, so much experiences, I think that's truly something that's phenomenal.
That's what we decided. It took 6 months to transition into that lifestyle, admittedly, but 2 years later, it's the single best decision we've ever made as a family in our life. Not only have we been able to save money by living in countries that are cheaper than Australia, we've also been able to reduce our cost of living by half.
Oof.
We're also living a better quality of life for cheaper.
That's
because
crazy.
we're able to do things as a family. We're able to go out and go-karting and go to theme parks and stuff because it's so much cheaper in these Southeast Asian countries to live.
That's
And
awesome.
the most important part is that we've been able to reconnect as a family and we've been able to spend time together, which to me is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Now, after 2 years, my youngest child, he doesn't push me away anymore when I want to give him a hug. He actively opens his arms up and goes, I'm waiting for my hug. You know, that to me means more than anything else.
Yeah.
And really, for the first time in my life, here in Southeast Asia, I just feel content. It's the first time really in our lives that we haven't had to worry about money. The money is there because everything is so much more affordable here for Australians that we just don't have to worry about money anymore. You know,
Love
if we
that.
buy a loaf of bread, it's like $1.50 here. If we buy eggs, it's like 15 for $2. If we buy takeaway, it's $20 for the whole family. As opposed to back in Australia,
Dang.
you'd spend $80, $90, $100 on a takeout meal.
What kind of takeout?
We always intended to come back to Australia, but now we're second guessing that decision and going, is it even worth going back?
Not if y'all
Are we
living
just
like
going to end up
that.
back in that meat grinder and the mill and just end up back where we were, unhappy, not spending any time together and just slowly drowning under the cost of living crunch? And I think that's, at the end of the day, the most important reason why we did it, is to reconnect as a family, but also just, like I said, I don't know how any Australian is making it work right now, honestly. After living here and seeing how affordable some of these other countries are, I don't know how any Australian is making it work and why they're trying to make it work. Australia is a beautiful country, I get it. And Australia is an amazing country, and we're very lucky to be Australians because obviously it's afforded us a lifestyle here that most Malaysians don't get. But how is anyone making it work? I don't know, but it's just something that I think about a lot because I sit here and I go, we're living a pretty awesome life here at the minute, and it's half the cost of what it cost us to live in Australia. And I know there's a heap of families in Australia right now just struggling to make ends meet. And a little change in perspective about what's here in Southeast Asia, and a little change in like what's the priority, and maybe a little change in like what they do as a job, they could do what we did and like escape that. And you know, like I said, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know whether we made the right or wrong decision. All I know is that right now I'm the most content I've ever been in my life because I have my family back and I don't have to worry about what stresses most people out, which is money.
That's incredible. Yeah, for his family, I feel like he's definitely made the right decision. Like I said, I completely understand that meat grinder he's talking about, as I feel like I'm stuck in it. I don't know. I want to travel, but at the same time, when it comes to like leaving the country, like moving and living somewhere else, I don't want to. because I do love it here in the U.S. Although it's stuck in that meat grinder, although there's a lot of issues in this country, I do love living here in this country. I feel like I'm able to like enjoy life, but I mean, he's saying that you can get a much higher quality of life for a much cheaper price and be able to have your time back. I think that's just what I want. That's all I want is to be able to get my time back. But right now, when you're I'm trading time for money, it's hard. It's hard. So just gotta figure out, I guess, how to make money. So I don't have to trade my time for money. Have to figure out a different solution to the problem. So I'm working on that, but yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section about what he says. Is there a lot of you guys that feel like you can relate at the moment, that you're just stuck in that meat grinder, that you don't have the time that you want, that you're not getting the quality of life, you're not getting to live the quality of life that you want? I love to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys enjoyed that, don't forget to subscribe, get a video a thumbs up, and check out that next one. See you guys next time.